All right, what's up, everybody? We're ready to get into this semifinal match between Sasha and Melvinfro. I've got Jason Blade here casting with me. What's up, Jason?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I'm excited to see this. Again, this is the rematch of our last tournament's grand finals, where, spoiler alert, I suppose, if you haven't seen that video, but Melvinfro did beat Sasha 5-3, I believe. But it was a very good series, so let's see what happens this time around. Do you have any predictions before we come in? I'm going to say my brain says Melvin, but my heart says Sasha. Like, I really want to see
Uh,
Sasha get a win.
Honestly, I'm with you 100%. Like, as we've talked about previously, that Sasha has still awaiting to have that one championship win that's been eluded to them for a very long time. And last year was the closest they've ever been to finally getting that chip. But now that they're here at this at the semis, trying to get back to that finals once again.
All right, let's see. Are you ready to hop into game number one here?
Of course.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Game number one between Melvinfro in the bottom left and Sasha in the top right. And we've got Boar Snake coming out of Sasha. A little bit old school, but Melvinfro with the Wolf Fox.
Yeah, and as I said, like this patch right here has been the most balanced, and there really hasn't been a particular meta that stuck with most people. So seeing this like wide variety between the two of them has been certainly an interesting choice as we get over into what I like to call maybe the gentleman's eight. Doesn't seem like there are any shenanigans going on, but Melvin has the possibility of doing so.
Yeah, it looks like we'll probably just have some 8 farm openings. Map looks actually really balanced. You know, both sides have access to a nice natural. Getting a third base is a little bit tougher for Sasha than it is for Melvin, but most games don't even make it there anyways. I like this little double high ground in the center. So yeah, it looks like we're just going to have a nice, good game of Tooth and Tail. What's interesting here, though, is that their decks are very, very similar outside of the double tier 3 from Melvin and the Boar Snake from Sasha. We haven't been seeing a lot of the Boar Snake. The Boar did get a bit of a nerf, and the Snake got a buff, and you know, strong player like Sasha with good Snake micro, you know, you tag down those tier 3 units real quick, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Snake has kind of been a pretty it's been picked out pretty frequently from between certain players and things of that nature, especially when we get into the early game with the trying to tag the pigs, because especially with how the mills have been a lot more squishier too.
Right.
So it becomes much more important to try and target those extra mills that might be putting out, as both of them are going to get into those.
Yeah, one move we haven't seen that often is, you know, the Snakes targeting the pigs down real quick. You used to see that back in the day a little bit when they just made the change to where, you know, one shot from the Snake will take the pig down. But Sasha's definitely got the micro and tries to do some unit split type thing, so that would be crazy to see later on. Just, you know, take a couple Snakes to like the 8 farms on the natural and just tag them all down real quick, sack the Snakes. I mean, that's game winning.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like Melvin's going a little bit greedy here when it comes to the farms, as he's already getting close to 16.
Yeah, both players just skyrocketing it up to a 16 farm opener here. A little bit of that gentleman's agreement. And we'll have to see what the choices are from there. I mean, do you just go ahead and rail down a tier 3, or are you trying to get a couple tier 2 out to be safe? I mean, it's so scouting dependent. That's why you see these players just constantly looking, because they're asking themselves the same question right now about their opponent.
Yeah, for sure. I think it really just depends on like who's going to finally put down that next unit that's a tier 2 or a tier 3, though I'm very curious what Melvin's doing right now. It seems to be just...
So the board does get placed. Are we going to do the Wolf and the Fox together? No, that'd be crazy. All right, Wolf.
Oh, that'd be
down.
pretty wild.
Now, the Fox is actually pretty good against what Sasha's got. I mean, the Fox can really take down a Boar, no problem. One-shots the Falcons. I mean, the Snakes and the Cams are a little bit tough, but not a bad matchup for a Fox here. I think what the Fox really doesn't want to see is, like, Owl. Like, Melvin does this Owl-Badger thing a lot, too.
Yes.
I kind of imagine Melvin is probably going to keep that same core of, like, Squirrel, Mole, Cam, Falcon, and then change up the tier 3 choices throughout the series.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially that you never know when that owl composition is going to come out from Melvin, because he's pretty much essentially mastered that composition like to a T. And it's always been very interesting to see what he does when things get a little bit hairy if you allow him to do things like that. But of course, as we're really getting close to that 5 minute mark, I'm very curious as to who's going to be the one for the first player to make that first strike.
Yeah, the tier 3 are going to finish up right around that 5 minute mark. And I mean, normally I would kind of say the board player is generally the aggressor. You know, they want to be on offense. They want that big board bomb to like hit structures and pigs and that kind of stuff. They want to get that torch going that deals extra damage to structures. So we'll see if Sasha is the one to move out. But attacking is so hard in this game, man. Like, I can't.
Oh yes.
How many games have you lost, Jason, where you're like, I'm doing pretty good, I'm gonna go attack, and then somehow you think you're okay, and then you just get absolutely hammered, and then you die on the counterattack? Like, it just happens all the time.
Too many, Adelphius. Way too many. Where I feel like, you know what? I think it's fine to attack. And speaking of attacking, it looks like Sasha is planning to attack with going into the moles and really just starting to prepare to really go for a first strike.
Yeah, this is a big, scary army. Those moles are really going to help out on the front line here. The main base is going to get torched down. Melvin going to go ahead and sacrifice that a little bit, just going to prioritize unit army positioning here. The Fox is here getting out a lot of shots, but is this too much damage? The board goes down, and I think Melvin is going to be okay cleaning this up. I mean, he did lose the main base, but that was on the way out already, and Sasha's commander goes down.
Ooh. Yeah, that's not really a good thing. Now that Melvinfro can easily take advantage, the Wolf Boss is showing to be a little bit too much here, as basically everything that Sasha put out there is now out of the window, and he's going to have no choice but to retreat and sell all the moles.
Yeah, the Fox staying alive. Sasha lost their commander just because the Snakes were really trying to get those tags, but the big thing here is the fact that the Wolf and Fox are still on the board and causing trouble here in Sasha's main base.
Yeah, that's a huge thing of being able to keep both tier 3s after a fight like that. That's really big, but Melvin does have to be careful here and not overextend too much. I know that, like, when you're at an advantage after winning a battle, you want to like just go in and get some vengeance and take some losses as well, but if you're not careful, you can easily lose those tier 3s.
Yeah, so far, it looks like the Wolf is still alive. Or, I'm sorry, the Fox is still alive. The Wolf did go down. But Sasha fighting for their life here, just really trying to deal with this Fox. And once you got a Fox in a situation, this is like kind of this perfect situation for a Fox. When things get scrappy, you know, really Sasha's just gotta hopefully get that Snake tag. But the Fox does outrange the Snake. So it is tough. Looks like Sasha's thinking about just giving up, and there it is, GG. Match number 1 going to Melvin.
Yeah, I mean, it's very unfortunate, but that the Fox didn't go down at any point. You would rather probably prefer the Fox to go down first before the Wolf, especially in a scrappy situation like that. And it certainly really paid dividends for Melvinfro in that matchup.
Yeah, and I think the big story is, you can see it kind of in the graph here too, is, you know, Sasha really tried to get those tags on the Wolf and Fox and just were not able to. Melvin being able to, like, Melvin making the decision to kind of sacrifice some of his base, you know, and prioritize unit positioning, you know, really babysitting his tier 3, keeping those alive through that first big push of Sasha. I think that's what won him the game. If Sasha got those tier 3 down, they kind of traded even Stevens, I think Sasha would have been ahead at that point.
100%.
All right, ready to go into game 2?
Heck yeah.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Up in the left side, we've got Sasha, same deck, and in the bottom right, Melvinfro switching it up, going for that Badger Owl comp. And yeah, it does make sense changing over to Skunk Pigeon with this as well. This is a nice deck list coming out of Melvin here, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like, when it comes to any sort of Badger composition, the Pigeons is a must. You have to have Pigeons in that composition because of the fact that, while yes, the Badger has a lot of firepower, it's also the most squishiest tier 3 out of all of them. So you really have to be careful when you're bringing that Badger out, because if you don't have Pigeons in your composition, you're basically just saying, all right, we're gonna like get a couple of kills and then it's just gonna die, and it's like a waste of 180 food. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, the Pigeons are really what makes the Badger the king of the late game. And this Badger Owl comp, you know, this is kind of new to this tournament in my opinion. I don't really recall any meta where that used to be. I mean, we used to see, I think, like Boar Owl or Owl Snake was the big one a few metas ago, or Wolf Owl, you know, that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
Badger Owl, it makes sense. I mean, the Badger's got all the DPS for the single target. Owl's kind of like AoE in a way, you know, with the mice. So
Yes, I think like when it comes to the Owl Badger composition, I think the Owl is really good use to have the mice kind of play a little bit of a tanky frontline, considering how fast they are and how quickly they can swarm a lot of the opponent's army. And it really kind of takes away from the distraction of having to deal with a Badger, especially in the late game.
So a little bit of mole harassment there. Melvin takes care of it, and looks like we are going to gear up for a late game. This map definitely favors Melvin. It's a bit awkward for Sasha to attack into Melvin's kind of, look at this, like, nice fortified 3 bases here. You got some swampy terrain, some trees in the way. Like, that kind of stuff really messes with the unit's AI, and a lot of times, most fights in this game really come down to positioning and where units are. So when Sasha's army's got to kind of march through this swamp and go around the trees and stuff, it could make for a weird engagement.
Yeah, this is honestly like the best case scenario for Melvin's composition at this point.
Melvin is kind of pulling a fast one. He made it look like he wanted to expand, but here he comes marching in with a ton of squirrels, and Sasha desperately trying to build some moles to defend.
Yeah, and it looks like Melvin is going against it, seeing that like it might be well defended. So he might be calling him back here, and he is doing just that, but it's not going to go out without a couple of losses.
Yeah, Sasha trying to capitalize on this retreat. Definitely gets... And Sasha's going to double down.
Ooh, okay.
Melvin, a little too big for his britches, tried to say, okay, never mind, let me build some farms, let me build a tier 3. And Sasha said, I don't think so. Let me build some moles and take this to the next game here.
And this is going back to alluding to like the timing of everything and making sure do you have to commit or retreat, because Melvin trying to retreat right then and there was a little bit too close for comfort for my liking, and that ended up being the case, as not only has he lost a few units but now losing a mill as well.
Yeah, to that point, you know, when Melvin came back, just leaving his units out there, you know, he really could have just retreated those home a bit earlier. And Sasha did capitalize, got a little bit of damage done, but not the game-ending damage. I would still say Melvin's pretty far behind, though. Sasha's had these farms up and running for a long time now, and Sasha's going to pivot into a heavy Tier 2 comp and try to give a second punch here in about a minute or so.
Yeah, that's... Honestly, Sasha's playing this, like, to perfection at this moment. Being able to do what you gotta do to help delay the economy of Melvin even more so, because he does want to go ahead and kind of play that delayed late game. And just continuing to stack up on the tier 2 and really try to make the final hit on this.
Yeah, I gotta do a tip of the hat to Sasha on that last attack. I mean, pulling back was a very, very smart decision. You know, it's very tough when you feel like you've got the opponent on the ropes and you think you're about to win the game. To make that call and say, you know what, we don't quite have enough, let me get back. And Sasha's aware of this Badger and is preparing for it. It's got some snakes, but Melvinfro, one of the best to ever play the game, has got his Badger here. Can he make it happen? He decides to back off for now, though.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably the best move for Melvin in that case, because I don't think that the Badger would be able to survive with that few amount of squirrels that Melvin had at the time to attack. It just, I don't think it was going to loom well. So him deciding to go ahead and just back off and not having to burrow home and back off, that was a pretty good decision, because you don't want to be in the same situation as it was the first encounter.
Yeah, and God forbid you lose that Badger. I mean, that's just game.
Oh, yeah, that would have ended pretty quickly.
Yeah, so again, I do agree. That was really good play for Melvin to decide against that, especially probably seeing the snakes. But I just don't, I mean, Melvin's just too far behind now, right? Like, this attack from Sasha is going to be very difficult to hold without taking crippling damage. Let's see, Sasha's marching in, no extra moles. Maybe a little bit of a oversight here from Sasha. Maybe they just don't want to wait that long. The attack's coming in. Difficult to attack into.
Yeah, it's a very awkward positioning here for Sasha to take in on this, because gonna leave a lot open, but with the fact that the pigeons are there, keeping that Badger alive, ooh, this might be pretty close.
Yeah, this is good control from Sasha. just trying to stay back, trying to poke down units, just getting some snake value. The Badger has got so much poison. Oh man.
Oh my goodness.
The pigeons, dude.
Yeah, the pigeons really saved it.
I still think that was good for Sasha though, because Sasha's way ahead on economy. They got some pig kills.
Yeah.
And you're always down to trade when you're ahead, right? So.
Oh, 100%. And especially with the fact that even though you weren't able to get the Badger down, taking out some of that economy and really going after a little bit of the army, and I think they took out a couple of Warrens as well during that encounter, that pretty much puts you in a very distinct advantage as we're getting really close to the late game. Well.
Yeah, this has been a very interesting match. I mean, a lot of back and forth on these attacks. It's really fun to see. I mean, a lot of games unfortunately do kind of come down to like, oh, there's a big engagement and one side clearly wins, but you can see there's a lot of decision making here. Both sides are like, oh, should I attack? No, I don't think so. I'm gonna pull back. Yeah. and we've got a nice kind of dance going back and forth, but Sasha's got the big bad boar ready to torch down Melvin's face.
And it seems like Sasha is also preparing for a base race scenario, because he did get a fourth mill just in case some crazy shenanigans happened and this counter ends up not working out the way that they wanted to. But
yeah,
I'm just very curious to see how this goes.
Yeah, it's nice to have that base race insurance just in case Melvin's like, you know what, I can't fight the army, but maybe I can go kill the mills. I don't know, I think Sasha just kind of rolls through this one. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't think there's much that Melvin can do here. Boar is going to go down.
Can't believe Melvin has kept this Badger alive against 4 snakes this whole game. Insane.
Oh my goodness.
Sasha's really good with their snake control too.
Yeah, but there's only so much you can do. But now all the pigeons are gone, and that's pretty much going to be goodbye to the Badger, and this is going to be a game to Sasha, I think.
That was a smart move from Sasha. You know, it's kind of counterintuitive at first with Badgers. Like, you really want to just target that Badger down, right? But really what Sasha did there is the correct way to handle it. You got to take out all the supporting units. Get rid of the pigeons, get rid of the squirrels, leave the Badger all by itself. And there we go, Sasha punching back, getting a point on the board.
Yeah, really well played.
All right, now that some more people are trickling in, I do want to remind everybody we have a new 2v2 tournament. Go to the Discord, check it out, sign up. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a one-day event in a couple weeks. And it's a great opportunity to play with some of the members of the community. So I linked that in the chat there. You ready to hop into game number 3?
Yes, of course.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, and the bottom, Sasha, same deck, and to the top left, Melvin, going back to that Wolf Fox approach.
Yeah, it seems like that Sasha is very committed to this meta. When we see them do this before, like saying that this is like the perfect composition for this particular patch, it's always been a thing with them.
Yeah.
They are very like into all of like the nitty-gritty stuff. Know a lot more about the game than I do, that's for sure. So it's not surprising that Sasha thinks that, okay, I know exactly what is the best case scenario against a player like Melvin, and it's just gonna be interesting how this goes on from here.
Yeah, it's always cool to see different players approach. You know, some players are like, you know, according to my calculations, adjust glasses, this is the best possible deck in the meta, right? So therefore, I'm just gonna use it every single time. Versus other players who like to change it. I think there's definitely pros and cons of both approaches, right? Like, if you know exactly what your opponent is doing, you can counter it, but you also get advantage of being a little bit of a wild card, be like, well, nobody expects artillery, right? And then all of a sudden artillery cannon comes down or something like that. But of course, that's not going to be as strong and just raw power level, but mill opening here from both sides, and Sasha's main base looks very, very defendable, although Sasha generally has been the aggressor in these matchups, and that mole is going to stop Melvin from just going straight into a mill.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I think like for both sides, it's pretty good, solid placement map-wise.
Yeah. With
both of them having very easily accessible second mills, and even though that there are quite a few in front of Melvin, it's a little bit dangerous because of how small it is. It's a very small map compared to what we've seen in the past 2 games.
Yeah, this is one of those maps where it's like you might as well just pretend those mills in the middle just don't exist, because like we're not going to see a third base here, or if somebody is able to actually take that mill, like they're just so far ahead in map advantage, you know, that they're probably going to win. It's kind of like a win more move at that point. So
yeah,
let's see if we're going to go straight into 16 farms. We have last game was not a 16 farm opener. We did have some scraps in the early to mid game. So, but generally speaking, you know, high level players, they're kind of checking the opponent, and they just want to be a little bit more greedy than the opponent is. A lot of times, again, it is very hard to attack this game. Timing attacks can really backfire if it goes wrong, or you don't get the damage. You're just very, very far behind. Little cheeky chameleon though, looking to steal some bacon.
Oh yeah, very interesting how that's gonna play out. Though it looks like Melvin's gonna change his mind on that. So. But I do see some moles as well in a very cheeky spot, too.
Yeah, Sasha hiding some moles. Melvin does see it now. So Sasha looking to possibly push out with these cams here. Again, I just don't see... Now, here's the thing, though. You can kind of kamikaze this gristmill, because they have such low HP. With enough moles, right, you just, like, click that sucker down, you are going to destroy the mill. And a lot of times that could just win you the game. So let's see how Sasha approaches this fight. Doesn't look like they want to target down the mill. Just going to come in for some damage. And
we're going to see at least a couple of pigs go down, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's not going to be anything that Sasha can do to really do any damage to the mill.
Yeah, I still think that was probably worthwhile. It's always good to get economic damage. You know, the thing is, Sasha wasn't crazy far ahead in pigs, and so kind of knocking out those two really balances things out. But Melvin here with the counterattack, and again, it's awkward to find positioning to get in here.
Yeah.
Does Melvin
but I will say,
enough, though?
He might be able to take that down. It really depends. It's 50-50 right now.
Oh my god, 14 HP.
Oh, it's so close. It's so close.
See, now you can sneak a chameleon over there, right? And knock it out
Yeah,
later.
but I think it really depends, though, because Sasha is probably well aware of that, as the squirrels are just hovering over there, making sure that nothing happens to it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see if anybody's willing to risk it for the biscuits. So far, Melvin's just going to go right up to the 16 farms.
And I will say that, like, even though that Melvin was not able to take down that mill, it's still a huge, pretty good advantage, be able to take out a couple of pigs and really kind of make it a tough situation for Sasha to decide what to do next in this situation, because I don't think that they will be able to match the same amount as quickly as they would like to. But it looks like Sasha is going to go ahead and go for another attack.
Yeah, I'm worried for Melvin here. Melvin dumped a lot of money into those additional farms and into a wolf. Sasha just built more squirrels and said go. Does Melvin have enough, or is Sasha just going to take this one out for Melvin being a little bit too greedy?
Yeah, I think that this is going to be this might have been a mistake for Melvin to really kind of commit to the tier 3, but he is going to prevent any crazy damage from happening. He did lose a couple of pigs, though one of them was going to be out since it was on an older mill, and we passed the 5-minute mark at this point. But still, it's still kind of a toss-up of what's going to happen here for this next fight.
Yeah, that was a good defense from Melvin. A lot of those pigs getting some extra fire onto Sasha's army, so Melvin feels like he's in a good spot now. You know, Sasha did just get some of these pigs up and running. Melvin, the wolf is on the way. It's been bought and paid for. So once that comes out, you know, the world is Melvin's oyster. He can do whatever he wants. He can sit back and just kind of buff the pigs up, you know, farm a little bit faster. Now, we did say earlier, we're talking about these mills in the middle not being, you know, really realistic, but we're going to start getting to the point where those second base farms are going to start following out before you know it, and it's going to be a race to the bottom economic-wise.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And honestly, I think with the fact that Melvin's wolf is now out, it's going to be pretty much put them in a little bit of an advantage to Sasha. It really just depends on how quickly that he can boost up his army before this battle comes in.
Yeah, Melvin kind of not, you know, thought about moving out, comes back, but Sasha's just going to go for it again with a lot of moles.
This is some... Yeah, and the timing as well, because I don't think Melvin was quite prepared to go for a fight here, but
Yeah, Melvin trying to build a lot of tier 2 right now. Sasha coming in, but that wolf buff hitting all those squirrels, that is going to be huge, and Melvin just melts the opponent's army.
Yep, and that's what I'm talking about when it comes to the wolf being so important, especially since Sasha was not able to take it down while it was building. It really kind of puts Melvin in a distinct advantage with that tier 3, with everyone being buffed up. Now he can fully dive into attack, and that's how it's going to end.
Yeah, look at that army value graph at the end when all those squirrels were buffed up by the wolf. But, you know, the wolf has gone through a decent amount of changes, and where it's at now is like the lower tier units, you can buff more of them. So a wolf can just buff so many squirrels. You could see that there in that last fight. Like, all those squirrels were getting that wolf buff, and is just crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Melvin up 2-1 as we hop into game number 4. Are you ready to get into this one?
Heck yeah.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. On the left side, similar deck as last time, but getting their moles back is Melvin. And over on the right, Sasha changing it up and going with the this guy deck.
Yeah. So I think that with the past few games, Sasha, it's very interesting that it's seeing them like change it up like this. Because I don't think that the past one was necessarily a bad meta. I think it's having to deal with like the map situation as well. So I'm very curious as to what Sasha's going to be thinking here as we head into this one.
I'm curious what Sasha's high-level motivation is generally. Yeah, we see the 5-farm Warren from Melvin. Interesting map to try to do this on. Very large. Normally you'd see somebody kind of pull this on a shorter map. And Sasha didn't actually deep scout. So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But maybe Melvin it was a defensive Warren where he was like, I want to make sure Sasha's not going to 4-farm double me with lizards or something like that, you know, just to kind of get a cheap win.
Because I was going to say, like, the only reason why I would see a 5-farm Warren is more so if you want to like go for lizards and go very far deep into your territory to go for an early attack. But making it being defense does make a lot of sense, especially since Sasha has threatened with the moles before.
Right.
So, just trying to make sure that there ain't no shenanigans happening.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. Really smart from Melvin because it's kind of like the double bluff take where it's like, surely you wouldn't 4-farm lizard me on a huge map like this. That exactly, you know what I mean? Like that's why you do it. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. But both sides gonna farm up. This is a huge map, so we should have a macro game. Now, one thing I've noticed this series, Jason, is Sasha continues to be the aggressor, and as we've talked about, attacking in Tooth and Tail is very difficult. I wonder why. Like, do you think Sasha just doesn't want to play Melvin in the ultra late game?
Yes, I think that is the case because, like, I think Melvin is probably one of, if not the best players when it comes to like late game metas. We've seen that time and time again when like games that are like 8 to 10 minutes long, that Melvin has been able to try and bleed out his opponent very frequently to get those wins. And I think that Sasha just doesn't want to play by that card at any point in this series. So them being the aggressors here, I wouldn't say is too surprising, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sasha be like, you know what, I'll go ahead and play this late game just to kind of switch it up and kind of shake Melvin off a little bit. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, Melvin always really crafts his deck around, like, okay, if we get to that 3, 4, 5 base game, I'm going to have the better army. Where Sasha really, so far this series, Sasha seems to be trying to craft decks to have really strong attacks, like, right when we start getting into tier 3. So not necessarily like an early game attack, but like early late game, if that makes sense, where it's like, okay, we're on like 16 farms, we're getting into our first tier 3. That's when Sasha wants to have like their power level spike, where Melvin's power level spike is just like the very, very late game when we, you know, got thousands of food in an army.
Yeah, for sure. And I would have to say that like with how everything's going on, we are seeing both tier 2s coming down. I know Melvin put his much earlier comparatively.
Oh, the tier 3, yep.
Yeah, tier 3, sorry. it's just going to be interesting what Sasha is really kind of planning on, because it doesn't seem like that they are gonna go into a deep attack. So we might actually do see a more of a late game competition, the two of them.
Yep, so both players are aware of the opponent's tier 3. And again, Sasha just really wants, like, right when my... Ooh, I wonder if they're even going to wait. They're not going to wait. Oh, this is very, very smart from Sasha. So Melvin's like, okay, we're going to have a big tier 3. Oh, look at this. Melvin has no idea. Go, Sasha, go.
Oh,
just target the mill.
Oh.
Oh, nope. All right, no, Sasha's trying to get the good positioning here. They want to set up the good concave. Oh, this is so smart from Sasha. The Badger's been paid for, too. That mill just melts.
Oh, yeah, that mill's gone.
Oh, man.
So even if Sasha doesn't fully mow down, which is a huge possibility because of what Sasha has got up, the wolf does come in, but it's pretty late, and Sasha's just taking out everything at this moment.
What a beautiful play from Sasha there. Very, very smart. You know, shows the Badger, and, you know, that means, okay, you're kind of safe until the Badger's here, right? And they didn't even sell the Badger, right? Like, the Badger actually got paid for. It's going to be here before you know it. And like you said, Jason, I mean, Melvin was able to hold off eventually, but, I mean, what's left? You know, he's got scraps, but he does have a fox. He's got a wolf, a fox, and a dream. Can he make it work?
Yeah. I mean, we've seen crazier stuff before.
This is true.
And I think that, like, especially with a fox coming in late game, just being very pesky, especially if you don't have a lot, if most of your army is mainly tier 1, which isn't the case with Sasha here, because that Badger is going to be very important, but we are still waiting for a couple of pigeons to come in, so it all depends on timing for Melvin, as he does want to try to play around with the fox a little bit, but he's got to be careful, as, ooh, yep, there goes all these pigeons.
Yep, so Melvin is just going to basically sacrifice everything else, turn this into a cheeky base race game, and see if Fox can get them to victory. Melvin with very good micro, but has absolutely no chance of fighting Sasha in a fair fight. Oh, let's see how much Fox work he can do. He is starving.
Yeah, and I don't think that Melvin can come back from this, because if I recall correctly, the Fox can't attack any of the mills, so it's... I think the only thing he has to really do that is a cam.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if Sasha wasn't farming, right? Like, if maybe like this well, but Sasha's still got a robust economy. I mean, as much as a Fox lover as I am, I don't think Melvin is gonna make the dream happen here. Oh, we'll get the Badger.
No, not at all.
Yeah, the big fact of the matter, like, Melvin's doing great with this Fox, but the big fact is that Sasha's still got an income. So this is all kind of fruitless.
Pretty much. This is definitely going to be evening things up on Sasha's end, as like there's only about like a few seconds left before he starves out. So really good effort though. I will give Melvinfro that, but now that Sasha has gotten a win in both of the competitions we've seen so far from Melvin, it's very interesting what they're going to do next.
Yeah, that was such a smart play from Sasha. But again, you know, I still need to make the argument that it's like Sasha is not letting Melvin hit his final form. You know, with Sasha gets these wins, they're kind of, you know, they're not ultra late game. But that's the point. Yeah. And I think that's really smart from Sasha to prevent the game from getting that long. But here we go, tied up 2-2. You ready to hop into game number 5 here?
Heck yeah.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Match evenly tied up. Sasha and Melvin looks like they take the same decks as last time. Sasha in the south and Melvin in the north. And look at this map. This is actually like a very cool map for a high stakes game like this. You know, both sides have a nice and neat little natural and the high ground together. They both have decent access to like a third. I would argue I like this better for Sasha, but I think Melvin's just fine with his spawn.
Oh yeah, I think I can definitely agree with you there that Sasha might have a little bit of an edge, because like if they decide to go for a third mill, which might be the most likely because of how big this map is. Yeah. Sasha has a little bit of an easy, well, maybe not actually, because I just realized that the closest thing to Sasha for a third is you have to go around a little bit to get that. Yeah. So maybe not.
But I think there's only the one attack path, which is right next to where Melvin would have to take their third, right? So
yes. So it's really kind of a risky situation to go for third for either of them. Sasha, it's a little bit out there for them, but meanwhile for Melvin, while it is a little bit more easier accessible, there's a weird little dip in the pathway to it,
Yeah.
and it can easily be taken out if Melvinfro decides to retreat back deeper inside his territory.
Well, if Sasha
Ooh.
attacks, then that third base is the front lines. You know, like this is where the battlefield, the no man's zone, is going to be. So
Yeah,
Sasha again
and
punishing the quick mill. I love to see this. It's basically just, you know, when people try to take a mill before a warren, you can build a mole warren there and kill the mill. So you got to
yes,
respect that. And I'm surprised Melvin has not respected it yet, because Sasha's done that like literally every game.
pretty much. And honestly, it's definitely something to kind of take note on my own personal journey in this in understanding and getting better at the game, is just being able to understand when a player enjoys trying to get into greed economy wise and
Yeah.
take it and trying to punish them for it.
Yeah.
Because again, economy is so important in trying to get the flow on your side of things in a game.
Oh, for sure. And it's sometimes it can be tough to punish it. Like we saw that one push a couple
Hmm.
games ago where, you know, Melvin had invested a lot in income and tier 3, and Sasha just made a bunch of units and attacked, and Sasha still didn't punch through. You know, I mean, defender's advantage is really, really big. Just the fact that, you know, your DPS is getting spread out a little bit, hitting like structures and mills and pigs, you know, where the opponent's DPS is all on your units. That extra pig fire can really matter. I think of that engagement in particular, you know, Sasha's army was getting gunned down by like 5 or 6 pigs at once, so, you know, that
Yeah.
extra firepower really matters. But look at this, Melvin is going to be the sneaky boy here and pretend like we're doing. If you look at Sasha's vision, Sasha thinks Melvin went to 16 farms, but in reality, Melvin's going to Mole City here.
And yeah, and it really also again depends on the timing. If Melvin decides to commit and go for this, he could get quite a bit of damage,
Oh my
as Sasha
gosh.
is also going to get into their tier 3, and that might be a mistake.
Yeah, Melvin, this is not good for Sasha. Melvin could just gun down this mill. I would just hold down the mill if it was me, but these players are obviously better than I am, so let's see what Melvin decides to do. Yeah, he is going to crunch in here
Yep.
and just go ahead and gun down the mill. And I think this is going to be a quick game. Yeah, Melvin kind of pulled the carpet out from underneath Sasha here, and a little sneaky move.
Yep.
Yep.
And that really kind of goes to show of like why also scouting is incredibly important, because like if Sasha was able to find those that figure out that, oh snap, we have a whole heap of moles on the way, that tier 3 would have been sold automatically.
Yep. Yeah, that was a good little bait and switch from Melvin there, and kind of showed that they were going to play a nice and fair economy game, but then decided to change it up, attack real quick, and for the win. And once again, since more people have come in, I did announce earlier that we have a new 2v2 tournament that this guy is putting together. Sign-ups are open right now. I highly encourage y'all to join. What I like most about this event is the fact that it's going to be real quick. It's going to happen in a couple weekends from now, I think 2 weeks from Saturday, and our goal is to just do the whole thing on Saturday. So you don't have to worry about, you know, getting roped into an event that's going to last for months or anything like that. It's all just going to be on one day. And Heartseed and this guy are putting them together. And yeah, so what do you think about that, Jason Blade? Are you excited? Are you going to join? Are you going to cast? Or what are you thinking?
I'm definitely joining, because I would love to continue to play and learn the game a little bit more, because I would say that I know the game probably a little bit, but probably nowhere near as some of the players that have been doing this a lot longer than I have. But if I do get eliminated early, I would certainly like hop on to the casting game for sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think my favorite part about this, there's some really interesting rules. I don't want to take too much time going over those right now. There will be a separate VOD on YouTube where we talked about that. But again, I just like how fast it is, right? Like, it's not a big commitment.
Yes.
It's going to be a Saturday afternoon. You know, you rail out a bunch of 2v2 games. 2v2 is such a fun format. You know, you can play with any unit. You know, it's a little bit more forgiving on, like, compositions and stuff. So, going to be a good time. But we're in the middle of a different good time here. We're in Sasha versus Melvinfro, and it looks like we're ready to get into game number 6. Melvinfro on match point here. Are you ready to hop into it?
Heck yeah.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, in the bottom, Melvinfro changing up the deck this time around, and up top, Sasha with them Liz boys.
Yep. This time this is the first time I've seen Melvin kind of go for a soul tier 3 composition, I think. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out.
Yeah, I'm curious what Melvin's thought process is here. Maybe he's going for that like early late game versus the ultra late game like we've been talking about with the Wolf Snake. I think the Wolf feels like to me just like, well, we have to go into a later game. I've got a tier 3, you know?
Yeah, honestly, I think like the Wolf has kind of been a little bit of the most commonly used, I think, in the current patch. Mainly because of the fact that I have seen
5-farm double from Sasha.
Oh, with the lizards as well.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is a really good map for this because it is somewhat small and there's a lot of road here. So the movement is going to be like lightning speed for these little guys.
Yep, now this one saving grace for Melvin is this cabin right in the way is going to be very pesky. It's going to deal some damage to those lizards. Melvin did scout it very quickly, but again, like you said, on short rush distance maps like this, how much is that actually going to matter? But yeah, those couple of hits on the lizards.
Yep. That's going to be guaranteed one pig to be done.
All right, one pig does go down. And I think that is enough damage. And Sasha wouldn't have lost a single lizard if it wasn't for that pesky cabin. So let's see if Sasha doubles down or if they're just going to eco from here.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they decide, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and eco up. Because like as we've alluded to, the the cabin is going to be a little bit of a hassle because it does take some damage from some of the things. We do see a squirrel ward from Sasha. We might see some squizzard. So I might be wrong here, but it really just depends on how Melvin kind of positioned his squirrels as they do even up.
Yeah, one thing too you got to be careful about is this is an easy mistake to make after like a 4-farm double, right? And then you like try to eco super hard, but then your opponent's like left with the units and just attacks you. Like, I always thought that was kind of fun. Like, if you ever, like, fake out, like, you do a 4-farm double, right? And then the opponent reacts, and then you're, like, you fake them out, and you sell those Warrens, and you build farms, and then they're just like, wait, I have Warrens, and you don't, and then they just attack you.
Yep, and that's why I really consider going for, like, that aggressiveness, like the 4-farm double Warren is probably the most difficult thing to pull off in the game.
Yeah.
Because, like, you really have, like... Just like how your opponent has to think fast and trying to defend you off, you also got to think fast of what you need to do next to continue on that pressure and really kind of put yourself in an even more bigger advantage than what your opponent is. It's super, super difficult. That's why like you don't really see it too often in the open division because the relatively newer players do hop on that more so. We are going to see an attack there from Sasha though.
Yeah, Sasha actually didn't scout this mill, but probably can just intuit, or maybe heard the sound of the mill being built. But good defense by Melvin, slaps those lizards away just fine.
Yeah, so Melvin, like as we've alluded to with how Melvin's actually very underrated when it comes to like aggressive games as well, or being attacked from aggressions, because I'm pretty sure a lot of players are just trying to be like, oh goodness, he's really too good at the late game. I want to go ahead and take him out as quick as possible, but Melvin can play that game just as well too, so that's something that you really got to like pay attention to, as Melvin is going to go into the Wolf.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, we talk about Melvin's late game all the time, but Melvin has no problem hanging out in the early to mid games as well. And one thing that I've always really liked about Melvin's approach to deck building is like, you know, just because you have a late game deck, nothing's stopping you from building like 20 squirrels and you know what I mean? Like, and just attacking. Like, there's a difference between builds and decks, and I think Melvin does a really good job of having like different builds with one deck archetype. And that Wolf did get thrown down. Did Sasha see it? Sasha has. So let's see what Sasha's response is. Right now, more eco, more tier 1. No major decision has been made yet.
Yeah, I think that I did see Sasha try to put down a tier 3, but decided against it because I think that like Sasha understands timing for a lot of these. Get a good sense of like when that tier 3 was put down. So I think like the best case scenario is to try to prepare to fend off of whatever tier 3 is going to pop up. And in this case, it's just, you know, copy pasting a couple of cams with a dash of Falcon as well. Trying to go heavy on the tier 2 to try to fend off the buff squirrels that's going to be coming their way if this Wolf comes in and Melvin decides to just go and try and finish this up right now.
Yeah, I like Sasha's approach to this defense, and this is something that people kind of figured out a long time ago, but it's a little counterintuitive. Like, if you see the opponent throw down the tier 3, like, you know it's a fresh tier 3, you actually have a lot of time to, like, farm up, and you see that's the approach that Sasha went. So Sasha is is planning on, like, okay, you're gonna have the wolf, maybe you come in, maybe you deal some damage, but as long as I don't die or get, like, completely crippled, I'm gonna have the better economy. You know, imagine Sasha loses this entire third base, but kills a wolf and trades evenly. Like, Sasha actually didn't lose that much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And considering the fact that Sasha's going really heavy on the tier 1 as well, getting close, trying to get up to 30, but oh boy, Melvin trying to be cheeky here, but I don't know if this is going to work or not, but it really depends on how Sasha's going to go through this and able to see this, which I don't think they do.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned with that.
Oh boy.
Complete third base, though. Maybe that was too much greed. And yeah, these moles just completely surrounded the army.
Oh my gosh, what great micro there from Melvin, being able to place those moles out and about. I don't think Sasha saw them either, which makes it even like 10 times worse. So yeah, it kind of ended up not working out for them.
Yeah, I like the idea of, like, kind of building up some economy before the tier 3 hit, but I think Sasha went a little bit too crazy with the extra farms. But that is going to be it for this semifinal match. Melvinfro will advance on to the grand finals 4-2 and will be fighting either Mishi or Erlu. So
yep,
really
I believe that's and I believe that's our third straight finals appearance, I believe.
Oh man, yeah, I need to check the data. They were definitely there last time. Yeah.
Yes, so like it's either like a back-to-back finals appearances or like they've been there for like the past 3 years. I have to double check, but Melvin just showing once again that he definitely could be debated as one of the best Tooth and Tail players of all time. So, I mean, it's already there, but trying to take that #1 spot.
Yeah,
of being the
GOATs. Well, it's fun casting with you, Jason. Where can people find you? You're mostly on YouTube now, right?
Yes. So you can find a lot of the Tooth and Tail games that I cast on Jason Blade Games. That's what the channel is called. But I do some other things as well on my other channel that's just Jason Blade. But if you guys want to go ahead and see more Tooth and Tail content, you can definitely check out that YouTube channel. I am planning on casting a lot of the Open Division as well. That's still ongoing at the moment. So I'm very excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, so the Open Division is in a double elimination bracket right now, trying to get that wrapped up. There's also a bonus tournament going on, and of course the new 2v2 tournament that we just announced today that people should go sign up for right now. So a lot of stuff going on in the scene, so I'm really excited to wrap up this event. Really excited to see how the Premier Division shakes out. So thanks for casting with me, Jason. It was a good time.
Yeah, for sure. And if you need me, I'm just one call away.
All right, take care, man.
See ya.
All right, everybody. That is going to be it. Congratulations to Melvin, and we will catch you next time.